Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for today's Dragon 12 SDK overview presentation. Just want to review a few housekeeping items. All phone lines have been placed on mute. We are recording today's presentation, so if you do miss any portion of it or wish to share it with a colleague, you will receive a link to the recording after the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to submit them using the chat or Q&A panels of the WebEx interface. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So just a quick agenda. I'm just going to go through some slides that discuss who Nuance is. I know most of you on the call are probably very familiar with the Dragon brand. So I just want to talk a little bit about who Nuance is as a company. Then we'll go into what is the SDK, a quick overview of the client and also server pieces, and then a recap of what is new in both the client and server piece. And then, time permitting, we'll obviously address any questions that you have. So who is Nuance? So if we look at Nuance by the numbers, you can see that what we provide is pretty impressive. To date, we have over 10,000 mobile app developers. More than 5 billion lines of medical transcription have been processed by Nuance in our applications. Most of our solutions are offered in more than 70-plus languages. We've got over 12 billion customer calls that are served through our IVR system. More than 5 billion mobile cloud transactions take place on an annual basis. And more than 20 million cars are on the manufacturing floor using our voice-enabled capabilities. So most of you here are obviously here to discuss what is going on with the Dragon 12 SDK. So I want to introduce you quickly to Oscar Mayorga, who oversees our Dragon SDK program, and he is going to take you through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. So, yes, Amy mentioned we're going to be discussing basically, a quick overview on, what the SDK is, what flavors of the SDK we provide in Nuance, and we're also going to be discussing, some of the new features that are coming out with the version 12 release of the SDK. We're going to start basically defining, what is the Dragon SDK. So as you might know, the Dragon product family has different editions that go from, from the basics like the home edition to advanced editions such as the medical or legal editions of Dragon. And on top of the professional or medical and legal, we also provide what we call the Dragon SDK edition, which is basically a separate package that is targeted for developers who want to integrate speech recognition in their own Windows application. So the Dragon SDK is the developer edition. It contains, the set of COM interfaces and ActiveX controls so that developers can integrate, the speech functionality inside their own application. We include what we call the speech engine runtime, which is basically a stripped-down version of the Dragon desktop engine. It doesn't have basically, any UI. All the functionality that you want to expose to your users would have to be, integrated inside the application using the API. We also provide tools to facilitate the development of applications. And, these tools basically provide different functionality, such as, user profile creation, adaptation and enrollment, vocabulary modification, etc. And those tools are basically ready to use out of the box, so you can basically deploy those tools as part of your solution. We provide, of course, sample applications. The languages that we support are basically Visual Basic, C++, and C#. And we provide samples for all of those three development languages. And we also include the documentation, which is specific to the Dragon SDK. We have the API reference and the developer's guide. Okay, so a quick overview on the Dragon SDK client. So we have two flavors of the SDK. One is called the Dragon SDK client. The other one is called the Dragon SDK server. The Dragon SDK client is the main focus is to integrate dictation into Windows applications that require basically real-time recognition, which basically means that as soon as you speak into the microphone, you want to display the results immediately on the screen or on your text window. This edition basically contains the same speech recognition technology as in all all the Dragon desktop products, and it allows an application to control the different compatibility modules that we include in Dragon. And the compatibility modules are basically the mechanism for Dragon to support dictation into the different Windows applications that we support out of the box, such as Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, etc. We also provide a couple of dictation objects called dictated and dicustom, and those dictation objects allow you to basically integrate in your application, and basically you can receive notifications from the engine as far as what the recognition was. You can perform different tasks related to the recognition, get the actual result from the engine itself, access to confidence scores, timestamps, etc. And we also allow the creation of custom command creation, which basically, through the SDK, we have a specific interface where you can create command grammars. And the idea in this case is that, when that command is recognized, your application will receive a notification, and basically using the programming language that you're using, you can execute the action of that command. We also allow importing, exporting custom commands as part of the interfaces, and we provide tools for speaker and vocabulary management, such as Voc tool, which is a tool that allows you to modify the vocabulary, adapt the language model, etc. And we also have other tools such as acoustic optimizer and language model optimizer, which allow profile optimization. So the SDK client edition, we have a specific documentation related for the client. So we have the API reference containing all the methods and events that can be used to basically integrate speech recognition. And we also have developer's guide specific for this edition of the SDK. We have also a set of sample programs that demonstrate how to use the interfaces to accomplish the different recognition tasks. And basically, the SDK Client Edition package includes, all languages that we support in Dragon, which are basically English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and Dutch. And we basically provide only general vocabularies. And besides the general vocabulary, we also include another one called the empty dictation, which is something that can be used to customize, what words you want to have in your recognition space. So that's also available. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Dragon SDK Server Edition, which is basically the other flavor of the SDK that we provide. The Dragon SDK server also uses, the same speech recognition engine as all the other Dragon products, our desktop products. And the main focus of the SDK server is to basically create a solution that does basically back-end transcription from audio files. So in this case, you have users who are dictating into a handheld recorder, for example, or they can be recording into a smartphone or into a microphone device. And basically, they're producing an audio file, which could be, a WAV file, an MP3, WMA file, and then the idea is that you want to create a solution where those audio files that are created by the users. You want to submit all those files to a server where Dragon server is basically running, and Dragon will, pick up those auto files. It will run recognition on them, and it will automatically spit out a text file and a concordance file containing all the recognition properties, and that way you can basically have your own solution for whatever purpose you want to record all those transcripts. So we have specific acoustic models that support telephone and voice recorder and microphone dictation sources. And we have vocabulary that are aimed for transcription tasks. We have specific tools that allow to do enrollment from an audio file. So basically, if you have an audio file and a text file, you can then create an adaptive profile based on those two files. We also provide what we call speaker triage technology, which is a tool that allows you to basically measure the quality of a profile in terms of how good the profile is for speech recognition, and it gives you a score, and then you can decide whether to use a specific user profile in production, or basically keep improving that profile in the back end until it gets a good accuracy rate. And we also have high-level ActiveX controls specific for the server, such as the DGN transcription that allow the transcription from an audio file into a text file, and speaker enrollment and adaptation that allow basically all this back-end enrollment. So we also provide, tools that are ready out of the box that can be used for speaker and vocabulary management. And two things to note as far as the SDK server is basically it's not a dictation workflow system. So we provide the API and the tools for you to build a solution, but it's not something that you can basically use out of the box. You have to build a workflow around it. And it's not a speech recognition server in the sense that, you cannot run multiple recognitions at a time on that specific server. You can basically run one auto file, or the engine can process one recognition at a time. However, in case that your audio volume is high, our recommendation is that basically you set up on a multi-core system. You can set up basically different virtual machines, and each virtual machine can have an installation of the SDK server and basically run a separate instance of the Dragon SDK server. And the languages included on the SDK server are basically the same as the client. We have English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and Dutch, with all the variants of English. And in this edition, besides general vocabularies, we also include legal vocabularies. So we have legal vocabularies for French, German, US, and UK English. So Dragon SDK supported use cases. So basically, in this slide, we're basically talking about, what are the good use cases for you to integrate the Dragon SDK. For example, for the SDK client, one of the ideal good cases to use the SDK is if you want to implement closed captioning. And closed captioning basically means that you want to build an application that requires immediate feedback to the user as far as the recognition. And the idea here is that, as soon as the speaker starts talking into the microphone, you want to have access to the intermediate results that the engine is producing, because you want to send that text, in this case, to a display, to a screen, for example, for closed captioning purposes or subtitling that need to be done real time. And the SDK basically provides interfaces for you to get access to that text as soon as they are available from the engine. The normal processing in Dragon is that the engine will release a text result until it finds a pause in the speech. So that's why, in a regular desktop product, the user doesn't see a text on the screen until that pause is found on the audio stream. And however, through the SDK, yeah, you can have access to the intermediate results while the engine is computing the final result. Then we have custom voice command and control, and that's basically, the capability for you to implement your own commands inside your application. And as I mentioned before, the advantage of using the SDK is that using the programming language of your application, which could be C++, C#, Visual Basic, you can implement the action associated to that command using that development language. Then we have, audio file transcription as part of an applications feature, and so the SDK client provides, interfaces for you to basically transcribe an audio file. And as I mentioned, the engine can process WAV files, MP3 files, DSS, and WMA files. So you can implement that as part of an application as well. Another good use case is if you need to basically create a full dictation support for a custom edit control. So normally, Dragon out of the box, we support several build applications, and for that we build what we call the compatibility modules. So each of the applications or text controls that Dragon supports, we have a specific module that basically talks to that application so that we can integrate dictation. However, in applications that have their own custom edit control, normally Dragon by default enables what we call the non-standard dictation mode, and that has limitations as far as select and say and auto playback for correction. However, through the SDK, you could integrate the interfaces, the dictation interfaces, for you to create a full dictation support module that allows you to do, full select and say and playback in your own text control. The next, good use case is if you're building an application that requires a custom vocabulary, and by that we mean basically that you don't need the full general dictation vocabulary that is built in Dragon. As I mentioned, we also provide what we call the empty dictation, which is basically, an empty vocabulary. So in that case, you can basically specify, what words you want to have in your vocabulary, and those words will only be available for recognition when the user, talks into the dictation device. Supported use cases for the server. If you want to have, or if you want to build an application that requires speaker-independent recognition for auto-mining purposes, and auto-mining is basically the idea is that you want to, you have a bunch of audio that is being recorded from the internet, from radio, etc., and you want to do keyword searches on the content of that audio. So in that case, we provide these speaker-independent models, and right now they're only available for U.S. English, but they can be trained basically to a variety of speakers, so that you can do these keyword searches on the audio. We also have, if you want to build an application that requires high-quality audio transcription, as part of our workflow, and you have the capability to create a speaker-dependent profile for each of the users, in the case where they are basically dictating using handhelds or smartphones, and you're able to detect, who recorded what file, and you can identify basically when that file is submitted to the server, you can identify who recorded that file, and then you can basically pull up that profile and then run recognition on that file with that specific profile. Then that will be a good use case. And also, if you want to create an application that processes voicemails, and where you have the capability to identify, the speakers, so that you can basically create a speaker-dependent profile as well, that would be a use case. So now we're going to basically talk about what use cases are not really supported, where the Dragon SDK, it won't really be useful. So if you're trying to build a language learning application, for example, the limitation here in Dragon is that we don't provide any feedback at the phonetic level. So Dragon doesn't provide any scoring as far as how good or bad you pronounce a specific word. So those type of applications are not really supported. If you want to build an application Siri-like, a speech recognition application, and the limitation here is that Dragon doesn't provide any natural language process component. So Dragon basically, just provides a raw, pure speech recognition technology. So whatever is in the audio, is spoken in the audio, you will get, a recognition from what is spoken in the audio. There is no meaning to it or no natural language processing after the recognition. So those type of applications are not really, cannot be built using the SDK, the Dragon SDK. If you want to build a cloud speech recognition for mobile devices, in the sense that we don't provide any tools or interfaces for you to build an application that requires the results to be sent directly to your mobile device, to a smartphone, for example. You could build something where, using the SDK server, you process audio files that are recorded from a mobile device, but the actual recognition being sent to a mobile device, that is not supported in the Dragon SDK. And also, if you want to build an application that requires, good quality transcripts with speaker-independent models, then that's probably not a good use case, because the engine will probably not provide good, accuracy in that use case. And also, if you want to build a voicemail transcription application with speaker-independent, that's not a good use case, because, again, a speaker-independent doesn't provide, high accuracy. So now we're just going to talk about, what type of SDK objects we provide. So basically, on the left column here, where we have all the list of the available objects in the SDK, and then we mentioned the functionality and whether they are available on the client or on the server or on both. So the first one we have here is the engine control, which allows the control of speakers, acoustics, and vocabularies. That's something that is available on both client and server. Then we have the dictation objects, which again, they allow you to integrate dictation into an application, and that's also available on both the client and the server. Then we have the DGN Voc Tool object, which is something that allows you to modify the vocabulary. That's also available on both client and server. Then we have the microphone button object, which is the object that you would use if you want to allow recognition from a microphone device. That's only available on the client, because that's the one where we support interactive dictation. Then we have the DGN voice command object, which is the object that allows you to create your own command grammars. That's also only available on the client, because there is no command and control on the server. Then we have voice text, which is the object that allows you to integrate a text-to-speech engine. If you want to integrate a text-to-speech engine, the only requirement here is that you need to work with a SAPI4 compliant text-to-speech engine, and then you can use this interface provided by the Dragon SDK. And it can be any SAPI4 engine. You are not limited to use the one provided by Nuance or installed by Dragon in this case. Then we have the DGN Adapt object, which basically allows the access to the different functionalities, such as optimization, enrollment, vocabulary builder. That's available on both the client and the server. Then we have the DGN transcription, which is the high-level transcription from audio files interface. That's only available on the server. And then we have the DGN correction object, which provides a thin client correction mechanism, and that's available on both client and server. So as far as development languages, as I mentioned before, the three main supported languages are Visual Basic, VB6, VB7, and also we have Visual C++ and C#. The samples that are installed with the SDK are basically include samples for each of these three development languages. However, in general, the Dragon SDK can be accessible from any programming environment that supports, ActiveX controls. So if you're using any other development or language that can work with COM interfaces and ActiveX, then it should be able to use the SDK. So Dragon SDK Resources, we have the documentation, which is installed by the Dragon SDK. We have the samples that are, again, provided by the installation of the package, and we also have a resource on the internet, the developer portal, which when you buy the SDK, normally you get an account to access the developer portal and submit questions and incidents. So now we're going to talk about a little bit about the components of a Dragon SDK integration. So basically on the top left here we have, of course, the client software, which is what you will be distributing to your users. In this case, it would be, of course, the runtime engine. So you always need the runtime engine, which can be either the one provided in the Dragon SDK edition, or you can basically have the users buy their own copy of Dragon. And of course, your application that is integrating the Dragon API. Then we have on the top right corner there the audio peripherals, which is basically what dictation sources you're going to be supporting. You have to plan whether your users are going to be dictating through a headset, through a digital recorder, wireless microphone, etc. Then you have enterprise resources. You have to basically plan, where you're going to store your results, the recognition results, where you're going to store profiles, and all that information or all that data. And then you have, of course, or you'll probably need developer support, where basically you can submit incidents and questions to Nuance so that your implementation can be successful. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the What's New section. So we're going to start with, what's new in the Dragon SDK client for version 12. And of course, the most important feature that we added in version 12 is our improved engine and improved models. And we're talking basically about, improved vocabularies, improved acoustic models, and also, the latest engine that is available. We have a new acoustic model that is called Best Match 5, and that basically provides a boost in recognition accuracy because we're now able to support, recognition running on a dual-core system or a multi-core system. So these models basically require at least 2 cores to run, and they provide a boost in accuracy. So definitely, if you're going to be using version 12, you want to be using Best Match 5 when running on multi-core systems. Then we have a new compatibility module. We are now able to support OpenOffice Writer. So we have a new, interface that allows you to disable dictation into that application. And then we have a few new engine options, such as the first 2 are related to the vocabulary, the unknown sense words to vocabulary, and search words ignoring nonsense. Those are related to when you are adding words to the vocabulary in version 12, you have to take into account those options. Then we added a new option through the SDK. You're now able to basically enable or disable the required click to select menus, which is an option in the Dragon desktop product. We also added a new option called synchronized document on phrase finish that allows you to switch the how Dragon treats the recognition result at the end of the processing. So normally Dragon, the way it works is that Dragon remembers the location of the cursor where it's positioned at the start of the recognition, and then when Dragon produces a result, it will insert that text result in the position where the cursor was at the beginning of the recognition. However, if you enable this option, synchronized document on phrase finish, instead of Dragon remembering where the cursor was at the beginning, it will then look for the position at the end of the recognition, where the cursor is at the end of the recognition, and it will insert the text where the cursor is positioned, in that new location. So then that is something that some people like to move around the cursor while the recognition is in progress. So that's why we added this new option. And then the last one here is the embed param top choice, which is something that you would want to enable if you're basically developing an application for closed captioning purposes. The idea here is that you want to limit the recognition just to the top choice, which basically means that you don't want to process alternatives, and that gives the a performance boost in that type of application. Then we have a few other new options, such as roaming user supported, which is a new option that allows you to basically have through your application, you can now query whether roaming user is supported or not. Roaming user is a feature in Dragon that allows you to have a central copy of your profile on a network share, and then you can basically roam. The users can roam between different workstations and load, one central profile that is located on a server. Then we have new dictation sources. So we're now supporting through the SDK smartphone as a microphone. So you can create a profile where basically you can have an iPhone or an Android device, as a microphone. We have specific applications on those OSs that allow you to record and send the audio, through the network to your Dragon running on your desktop. So you can use those devices as microphone. Then we have the recorder smartphone, which is, again, we provide applications for iPhone and Android, and you can download the application that records audio, and then you send that audio file to your desktop for recognition. Then we support also the built-in mic, and that's for laptops and ultrabooks. And we also now support Bluetooth enhanced, or enhanced Bluetooth, which is the wide bandwidth Bluetooth devices. Then we have new Dragon dialog that allows you to basically create profiles with those new dictation sources, and the new dialog is called the remote microphone connection dialog. Then we have a few new administrative settings, and those are new settings that basically were exposed as part of the version 12 release. So we're now exposing those through the API as well. Let's see. Now we have a few other engine control methods and properties. Topic domain. You can now query to the engine, what is the domain of the topic loaded in case where your application requires to know whether the edition of Dragon that is running is either legal, general, medical. You can query what type of topic the profile is was created with, and then you can decide what to do depending on what domain is being used. We also have a new method called acoustic container size in megabytes, which this basically returns the size of the dictation source container folder. And this is the folder that contains all the data that Dragon collects during dictation and that is used for optimization purposes. Then we have a new option called date format list, and this basically is used to handle the new date format values if your application, if you're required to change the date format, that how Dragon outputs the dates when speaker dictates them. And then we have a new method called export my commands, which basically allows you to export all the custom commands created by the user. You can export all of those to a specific XML or DAT file. Then we have new engine control events, Dragon bar message changed. You can receive a notification from Dragon when the actual Dragon bar message it changes. We also have a new event, Dragon bar compatibility status changed, and this new event basically notifies the application when the compatibility status has been changed. The compatibility status is basically the feature where Dragon tells you whether a specific application where you are dictating into has full dictation support or not. It's basically the green dot that is on the Dragon bar. That's what we call the compatibility status. Then we have recognition mode changed. So in this case, if you have an application that requires to know when the user switches recognition mode, such as dictation, commands only, numbers mode, etc., and you can now get a notification from Dragon. So, okay, a few more things about the SDK client. A new dictation option, which is called the format phrase hypothesis option, and this option basically allows you to have Dragon automatically format what we call the phrase hypothesis, which is something that is used when you're building a closed captioning application. So when you're using the closed captioning application, in order for your application to get access to those intermediate results that the engine is producing, the engine fires this event called phrase hypothesis, and in that event, we provide you with that text. So normally, up until version 11, the text that was provided in that interface was basically unformatted. So you would receive, the actual tokens from the engine, which are, not user-friendly. You would have to parse, that text and remove certain special characters. So now, in version 12, we now have this option that allows you to get a full formatted phrase, so you don't need to do any processing to those preliminary results. And that is available in all languages now. So in the past, we would only give the ability to format that in English, but now this option is available for all languages. And we also added a new method for the DGND custom object. There is one called session save for optimization, which allows allows you to save a DRA session for optimization. A DRA is basically a concordance file that contains, the audio recognized and the text recognized, and that allows you to do, correction. And then we also added a new property called the spell dialog is displayed, which can notify you whether the actual spell dialog is displayed or not. And the issue here before was that, when users were basically displaying the spell dialog, the application would never know, whether the spell dialog, the built-in spell dialog, was ever closed, and so they didn't know how to handle that processing. So now we provide that property that can tell you, whether it's up or not. Then we have, a few more Dragon bar methods that allows you to get what the Dragon bar message is at that moment, and also to get the compatibility status, it returns whether it's full dictation supported or not. And then we have a few dgen adapt methods and properties. We have new methods such as merge user profiles that allows you to merge, profiles, basically allows you to merge one profile that, contains modifications at different points in time. And also we have a new method called abort that aborts the acoustic optimization process in case you are using that interface within the application. And we also added a new interface to handle upgrades. So now, through the API, you can run a user profile upgrade, which is something that is required when you are upgrading your Dragon from, in this case, version 10 and 11 to version 12. So all that you can do within the application, the migration of the profiles. All right, so now we're jumping into the server edition. So the server edition, we just have a few things that are new. The main thing, as I mentioned before, is the new improved acoustic models and vocabularies, and the enhanced runtime engine. Again, these are the latest that were produced for version 12. And we also now have support for official support for Windows Server 2012. So you can now, install and run Dragon SDK Server on that environment. We also added a new vocabulary. The UK legal vocabulary is now available on the SDK Server. And we also added a new interface called Snapshot, Save, and Align, which this allows basically the alignment of an audio that is being played back with a correct transcript. And that is something that is useful for, customers who require the synchronization of an audio playback with, with a transcript. And the most common use case is for audiobooks. If you're building an application that requires, audio playback in an audiobook, where basically you want to highlight the word that is being played back, then you can use this interface so that Dragon can provide you with the timestamps of the audio where you should be playing back.
All right. Thank you so much, Oscar, for taking us through that very in-depth overview of both the Dragon SDK client and server for version 12. I just wanted to quickly wrap up with a couple of things, including our base pricing here. Obviously, the pricing will change based on the application and environment that you're looking to run. But just to give you a quick idea of where things stand, the SDK client base pricing is $5,000, and if you want to add maintenance, that's a yearly cost of $750. On the server side, the base is $10,000 with a maintenance yearly of $1,500. Obviously, we'd love to put you in touch with our sales team to talk more in depth about the application that you're looking to run, so we can best put together pricing specifically for you. So just some common questions. I know there is a question that did come in, and we will definitely get to that as well. But just some common questions that we typically get as far as the SDK program go is, what development languages are supported?
Yeah, so the most common languages that we support are Visual Basic, C++, and C#. However, yeah, any other languages that can handle basically common activists can be used. Yeah, other like Python. I know that can be used for Dragon SDK integration as well.
Great. And then what languages are supported for speech recognition? I think, Oscar, you covered that pretty well. At this point, it is all of the languages that we currently cover for Dragon desktop software. So that's English, French, German, Italian, Dutch, and Spanish. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay, great. What audio file formats can be used?
Right. So normally the Dragon SDK, we support MP3, PCM Wave. We support WMA, DSS, and DS2 audio files. So any of those can be directly supported by Dragon. Yeah.
Great. I'll combine the next three, but can you comment on the use of .NET, Java, and Flash integration?
Yeah. So basically, you can integrate the Dragon SDK interfaces in a .NET application. However, we don't provide any sample for that. But you should be able to develop a .NET application using the Dragon SDK, as long as your application, your architecture in a way where the recognition is run on the system where Dragon is installed. As far as Java integration, so the story with Java is that Java doesn't directly support COM. So in order for you to build an application with Java, you would need to create a wrapper, basically, in order for the application to talk to the COM interfaces available in Dragon. There are a couple of commercial libraries that can be used to do that that bridge. I think one is called J and Integra, and the other one might be an open source, but it's the standard widget tool can also be used. But yeah, it requires this wrapper so that Java can talk to COM. And then Flash basically is not really supported because there is no, that wrapper, as far as I know, nobody has been able to produce one. So, and Flash cannot directly talk to COM. So Flash is not. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can the Dragon SDK be used to speech-enable mobile applications?
So as I mentioned, yeah, it's not really a good use case if you're designing an application where you want to have the recognition result going to, directly into the mobile device, because Dragon doesn't provide any interfaces or tools for that. Using the SDK, you could build an application where basically you run recognition on a server, and then you would have to develop the actual transfer of the results to a mobile device, but Dragon doesn't provide any support for that. For the actual send of the text to the actual device. Yeah. Okay.
We should note, too, for those folks that are interested in pursuing a mobile application, that we do have an NDEV mobile program that is specific for that application. So if there is any interest in that, please reach out to us separately, and we can put you in touch with the folks that oversee that program. Okay. Is there any Mac support?
Nope. So the Dragon SDK is all Windows-based, and yeah, we have a Macintosh product as well. But that the Dragon SDK cannot be used in the Mac product at this time. Okay,
great. In addition, Oscar, there is a question that did come in as you were talking about kind of the natural language piece. So it looks like it is a two-parter. Could natural language processing occur after the SDK's speech-to-text conversion?
Yes, it can. So as long as you can build your own natural language component, but yeah, it's something that could definitely sit on top of the result of the Dragon SDK. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So just to point out a couple of resources for folks, we do have information that further outlines the Dragon SDK Client and Server Edition on our website. You can find the URL here. And of course, there is actually a contact form on the site as well if you are interested in reaching out to us further. Or you can reach us at the following email address, dragonsales@nuance.com, and we would be happy to further discuss with you the SDK program or answer any technical questions that you might have. So at this point, I don't see any more questions that have come in. So, Oscar, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to go through this with us today. And for the folks on the line, I want to thank you for spending the past hour with us. As I mentioned, the presentation was recorded, and we will be sure to get this out to everybody so that you can further review. So once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and that ends our presentation.